All right. And the 2-3 matchup in the Metro has got to be one of the biggest surprises. We've got the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia Flyers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. For the Flyers, it's their first time in the playoffs in 6 years. For the Penguins, it's been 4 years since we've seen these guys. It's going to be a great series.
It's so fitting that they meet each other. I'm very excited for this series. I think there's so many great storylines. Of course, the biggest one being, can Sidney Crosby make one more deep playoff run?
Yes, I love Crosby. Once again, he averaged over a point per game. Him, Malkin, Letang, the boys are back together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Crosby, unfortunately, he's been pretty banged up this year. He had a little rough time with Radko Gudas in the Olympics, as we all remember. And he's been in and out of the lineup since then. So how healthy he is going to be a big determining factor in Pittsburgh's success in this series, I think.
That's the nice thing, though, is Pittsburgh didn't have to fight and claw to get that last position. They were able to rest their veterans down the stretch. I think that's really going to benefit them. And because they have that experience, they should be able to flip the switch and get right into playoff action.
Erik Karlsson really turned back the clock, 66 points in 75 games. But Kyle Dubas had a number of reclamation projects that turned out pretty well.
Yeah, wow. Anthony Mantha coming out of nowhere. I thought his NHL career was on life support, and he was an absolute force for them, finally living up to that potential.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mark, I feel like we've been talking about Anthony Mantha for so long, and he reels off 33 goals.
Yeah, and he's a big body. If he can play a physical style in the playoffs, he's going to be surrounded by some good players. Why can't he keep it going?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Brian Rust also had himself a pretty good year. Would have potted 30 goals had he played all 82 games, but he got just shy of that with 29, 65 points. Pretty solid year for Rust.
Of course, they have Ricard Raquel. He's always been a loyal foot soldier. I love the additions of Chinakhov and Brazeau. They've come out of nowhere.
Yeah, the forward depth looks pretty good in Pittsburgh, and at the start of the year was such a big question mark, so kudos to them for filling those holes.
And they do have a youngster, Ben Kindle.
What a story. Drafted, comes out of nowhere in his draft +1 season, and makes an impact as a rookie. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, for sure. I got a lot of questions, though. What do we get out of Stuart Skinner in net for the Pittsburgh Penguins? I mean, obviously, he has some Stanley Cup experience. Not always the best kind of Stanley Cup experience, but he has played some good games in the playoffs, and obviously, he does know how to win some of these games.
Yeah, if he falters, which none of us would be shocked if he did, Artur Shilovs has been serviceable as a backup. He might have to get in there at some point.
Now, the Philadelphia Flyers, guys, we did not give them a lot of hope when we recorded our stretch run show. We were very concerned about their offense, but they did it. Unbelievable. Rick Tocchet got these guys in.
Yeah, what an impressive stretch run they had. And you look at a guy like Porter Martone who came out of nowhere. They signed the guy, let's get him some experience. No, he comes ready to play. Point per game performances, physical force. Wow. But you know what?
Short sample size, but
the kid's got the pedigree. The other one, though, that was huge was getting Tyson Forster back healthy. One of their best forwards. He came back just in the nick of time. Philadelphia's been hot.
John, what do you think are the keys for the Philadelphia Flyers?
I mean, I think they're going to have a balanced offense to win this. They're going to have to roll their lines and really capitalize on those opportunities that some of these depth players can get, because they didn't have anyone who cracked 70 points.
Travis Konechny, always a great player, I think.
He's their best forward right now. No, he's going to bring it for them in the playoffs. My questions are two very talented guys, Trevor Zegras, Matvei Michkov, world-class skill. But when it gets rough and tumble out there, will they be able to make an impact?
Yeah, we haven't seen either of these guys in the playoffs. They're both still young, especially Michkov. So, big question mark. Can they play that type of gritty game that you need to play in the playoffs?
What about the Flyers' defense?
You know what? It's a pretty underrated D. You start with, obviously, Olympian Travis Sanheim. He's a pillar back there. Rasmus Ristolainen, big physical force. But I like some of these young guys. You got a guy like Jamie Drysdale who's starting to come into his own. And, of course, Cam York, high draft pick. He's also starting to pan out for them. So, actually, I think they're pretty underrated on the blue line. And speaking of underrated, how about the goaltending?
Yeah, I mean, Dan Vladar had himself a pretty solid year here. I mean, he got 29 wins, and he ended up with a really, I would say, good save percentage with 906. I mean, that's hard to do in this NHL. He benefits from a pretty solid defensive system. Rick Tocchet obviously gets those guys playing responsible hockey. So, yeah, I mean, this could be a tough team to play against and to score on.
Oh, this series is going to be so fun. Mark, who are you choosing?
You know what? I've not given the Philadelphia Flyers respect the whole year, but I'm going to give them some respect right now. I'm going to pick them to pull off the upset and knock out the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're going to take it in 7.
Whoa, I mean, this is such a classic matchup. I love this one. It's exciting. It reminds me of the one where Marc-Andre Fleury really blew it for the Pens and they went out in the first round. That was a fun series. But I don't think we're going to see that. I think that the veterans, as long as they're healthy, for the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be the difference here. I'm going to pick the Penguins in 6.
All right. Maybe I'm just hoping too much. I want this one to go 7 so bad. I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Penguins in Game 7.